but I am. So whether I can make it through March, I will celebrate my 8th anniversary. Officially around spring break, which is when I officially had my grand opening. I was open at the beginning of March, but we officially opened.
What year was that?
2010, 8 years ago. Which for retail is almost a record in this town, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know any retailers that have been open that long.
1 year.
The Copper Leaf is not retail. They've been open 10 years, and of course the hardware store and the lumber yard has been open for much longer than that. But,
Yeah, the Winnsboro News.
well, yeah, they've been around a while. But so that in itself is a milestone. However, with the weather has conspired to keep people away from town, and when that happens, the downtown retailers don't do any business. I mean, I'm not the only one who's not doing business. If you go to any of the Main Street retailers, they'll tell you the same thing. The antique shops tell you the same thing. It's really, really, really hard times right now. So we hope we can get through it. And into the spring, when people will start coming back. Whether they'll stand is another question, but you never know about that. Anyway, I hope to start bringing some music in here in the evenings. If you know anyone who wants to take a guitar or tickle the ivories on the piano, they won't get paid except for tips. I don't have the cash to pay musicians to come in here, but I would like to get some music in here for those interested. And just pass the word around. If they're interested, let me know.
Guests can come listen, or is there going to be a fee? Or
There'll be no fee.
Okay.
Just come and listen, read a book, sit in
You can buy coffee and read a
You can
book.
buy a cup
But
of
you have to
coffee
go
or a
somewhere
cup of
else for
tea or
this
hot
one.
chocolate and sit back there and read a book. I now have I have Wi-Fi now in the building, so you can get on your computer or your iPhones and do what you want to do.
Is there a code?
Portable
Yes,
party.
and it's posted back there. I just want to bring bodies into the shop, as they say. I can't make anybody buy things.
Well, I've invited people. I mean, I've told people about your wonderful candles. A lot of people.
Well, I appreciate that. There's an old story in retail. If no one comes into your shop, you can guarantee not to make any money. But if somebody comes in, you got at least a chance that they may purchase something. You can't force them to do that, but if there's no one in the shop, there's guaranteed you're not going to get any sales. So I'm hoping to get some sales out of that. I've got, as you can see, a great many books. Still keeping the candles. I've got the children's section, and hopefully if things get better, I'll bring more merchandise lines into the building. But gotta take it a step at a time. That's my announcements. I'm sure we'll hear more about more things from Doc and Joe Dan when the time arrives. Another great book came into the shop. It's called Fine Frenzy, Enduring Themes in Poetry. It's the second edition. It was put together by Robert Baylor. No offense there, Joe Dan. I mentioned Baylor in the same room with Texas A&M. I don't know that. Shouldn't be doing that. Robert Baylor and Brenda Stokes are the two that put this together, the editors of this. And again, it's called Fine Frenzy. And there's a wonderful Miro on the back, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the artist Miro. It's very modern, very strange. The front is called a lute player. If you're familiar with a lute. A lute is a very soft instrument.
Who
noise.
painted that? Who painted that?
Who painted that? Hendrik Sorge, S-O-R-G-H. And it's currently at a museum in Amsterdam, which the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam is where it's hanging. Now this was printed a long time ago, because it has people in here with their dates in the 1914s and the 20s that were still alive when this book came out. So this book, for those interested, was printed in, let's see, whether they have a date. 77. This book came out in 1978 is when this book was published. And I'm just gonna turn a page and pick something out, and I'll try to read short ones because I'm getting tired, and if I try to read long ones, I'll fall asleep and fall over, and that wouldn't look too good on the film. This is broken into sections. They have a section called exuberance, and then they have sections. They have all different sections. Reality, and they have a section on faith, social conscience, old age, maturity. I should read some of those. And, this is 50. This is from a section on illusion and reality. This is one that my finger has come to. It's a short poem by a fellow named Stephen Crane.
He wrote Red Badge of Courage.
Oh yeah, but yes, he did. He also wrote this little poem. His numbers are 1871 to 1900. Didn't make it very long. Anyway, this is I Saw a Man, it's called, and it's by Stephen Crane. I saw a man pursuing the horizon. Round and round they sped. I was disturbed at this. I accosted the man. It is futile, I said. You can never. You lie, he cried, and ran on. Let's see. Oh, I won't read this one. Everyone knows this one. By Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? I'll skip that. I should have read that on Valentine's Day, but Valentine's Day had the nerve of being on a Wednesday, not a Friday.
Yeah, it was Ash Wednesday, too.
And so I will not read that.
I fell in love on a Wednesday once.
Did you?
I did.
Well, good for you.
Were
You
you
should write a
still in
poem.
love
You
on Thursday?
should write a poem. You should write a poem about that.
Wednesday's child.
Here are two by Robert Browning, speaking of Elizabeth Browning. Old Robert was born in 1812. There was a big war that year, and died in 1889. This first one is called Meeting at Night. The gray sea and the long black land, and the yellow half moon large and low, and the startled little waves that leap in fiery ringlets from their sleep, as I gain the cove with pushing prow and quench its speed, the slushy sand. Then a mile of warm sea-scented beach, 3 fields to cross till a farm appears. A tap at the pane, the quick sharp scratch, and blue spurt of a lighted match, and a voice less loud through its joys and fears than the 2 hearts beating each to each. That's Meeting at Night. And this is Parting at Morning. Round the cape came Round the cape of a sudden came the sea, and the sun looked over the mountain's rim, and straight was a path of gold for him, and the need of a world of men for me. A little poem by Robert Browning. There's another big poem here. This is called Epitaph on a Pessimist by Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy was born in 1840 and died in 1928. I'm Smith of Stoke, aged 60-odd. I've lived without a dame. From youth time on, and would to God, my dad had done the same. Okay. All right, this is a guy named Robert Hirschon. who was born in 1936. Don't know whether he's still with us or not. This is called How to Walk in a Crowd. This is all in lowercase, there are no caps in this, kind of E.E. Cummings fashion. Never pass a nun on the left. Never walk behind children, they hold hands. Never look up, you'll trip on the blind man's dog. Watch for people growing apart. Never be afraid of gutters, holes, cracks, pale canes, sleeping cops. Never stop for greetings, it's a plot. When the sign says don't walk, crawl. The woman beside you at the curb has fallen dead. She'll get a ticket. How to walk in a crowd.
Did Willie Nelson write some of that?
I don't believe he did, but he may have been inspired by it.
Sounds like
People
American.
have copied it from there.
Okay. This is Looking at Pictures to be Put Away by Gary Snyder. Gary was born in 1930. I don't know if he's still with us or not. I should have looked these up. Got all these end dates. Who was this girl in her white nightgown, clutching a pair of jeans on a foggy redwood deck? She looks up at me, tender, calm, surprised. What will we remember? Bodies thick with food and lovers after 20 years. I don't understand that one either. Okay, let me see what we recognize here. Poets to Come by Walt Whitman. Can we read Walt Whitman in Winnsboro?
Yeah, I read some of his just a few weeks ago, months ago.
Poets to come, orators, singers, musicians to come. Not today is to justify me and answer what I am for, but you, a new brood, native, athletic, continental, greater than before known, arouse, for you must justify me. I myself but write one or two indicative words for the future. I but advance a moment only to wheel and hurry back in the darkness. I am a man who, sauntering along without fully stopping, turns a casual look upon you and then averts his face, leaving it to you to prove and define it, expecting the main things from you. I'm sure you're familiar with I Hear America Singing. Have you heard that before? Another Walt Whitman. Walt was born in 1819. He died in 1892. There's one called Adults Only. I'll skip that. I'll read a couple more. John Donne. A big poem by John Donne. Called A Lame Beggar. John was born in 1572 and he died in 1631. I am unable, yonder beggar cries, to stand or move. If he say true, he lies. That was the longest poem of the evening. Let's see. Oh, I want to read one of those old man poems. Since I am one, I thought I should read one. Well, this is everybody: childhood, youth, maturity, and old age. Okay, well that about covers it. All right, I don't know anything about this guy, Theodore Roethke. I'm guessing Roethke, was born in 1908, died in 1963. And the title of it is My Papa's Waltz. The whiskey on your breath could make a small boy dizzy. But I held on like death, such waltzing was not easy. We romped upon until the pans slid from the kitchen shelf. My mother's countenance could not unfrown itself. The hand that held my wrist was battered on one knuckle. At every step I missed, my right ear scraped a buckle. You beat time on my head with a palm caked hard by dirt, then waltzed me off to bed, still clinging to your shirt. That is my contribution for tonight. Perhaps I'll start writing one of these days. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
We have our guest.
Okay.
You may, since you made the mistake.
Good at
Very
church.
idea.
Of course, good at church that way.
Also to see in church,
Okay.
too.
I write children's poetry, and some of my poems I turned into stories, and I write narrative poetry. And I've written children's books. But here, this is just children's poetry. I'm putting together a book with my husband, who is an artist, of poetry entitled We Play Outside. And so all these poems have to do with being outside. This is called When I'm Outside. I've never heard a robin cry or a bluebird sing the blues. What is it that has the birds sing such happy tunes? Do their mothers teach them, or do they hear the songbirds' morning chorus and just sing along? All I know is, when my face is covered in a frown, all I need is to hear them sing, and my frown turns upside down. And here one's, maybe sometime I'll bring the poetry, the adult poetry, or the ideas where I got the poem, but this one came from an adult poem style-wise. I like it. It's called Flying Things. I wish that I was knowing where this flying thing is going with its buzzing, buzzing, buzzing at my back. This buzzing's terrifying, and it's got me almost crying, and so I'm zigging and I'm sagging and I'm slapping, whapping, flapping. I don't even want to see it, and I would really rather flee it. But if I run, will it chase me down? What if this thing that's flying is happily identifying the spot most satisfying where it wants to place its sting? Oh, I hate that it is flying. But suppose that I'm mistaken, that this flying thing is aching to do me any harm. What if my fears are growing of my not really knowing of who or what this flying creature is? Feeling brave enough to chase it, I turned around to face it, and there was nothing but two hummingbirds, a buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. Okay, this one is, a lot of my poetry in this book comes out of my husband's drawings. He does wire sculptures. You'll see him in the gallery over in Winnsboro Art Gallery. And so this came from a sculpture of our granddaughter just being outside and just running around, and I just love that sculpture. So I called it Turn Around Sue. Dancing, prancing, turn around Sue. Early in the morning, outside she flew, running to the left and then to the right, whirling, twirling with just delight. Dew in the grass waking up her toes, scents from flowers waking up her nose, bewitching the breezes chasing the wind, playing with shadows the sun joins in. Running to the left and then to the right, whirling, twirling with great delight, singing like a songbird an early morning in the bird, singing like a songbird an early in the morning bird, laughing, smiling, she's completely beguiling, dancing, prancing, turnaround Sue. I can't show you the illustrations because I don't have the pages of the book with me. And here's the last one, I believe. My friend Daisy. I did find things. Yeah, my friend Daisy. Okay. My friend Daisy. My friend Daisy is acting crazy on this sunny day in the month of May while sipping tea in her garden. She holds out a hand for a bee to land. Surely he will sting her. The bee nearest to hand sees her gesture as grand and buzzes down to rest there. She tells him, your colors remind me of flowers, and your honey has wonderful powers. He dances round with delight, and before he takes flight, I invite the bee to join us for tea. And that's all I got to know.
Excellent, wonderful.
Okay. There we go.
Two little poems, but I thought about this when I went to the car and got this hymnal. I think this is interesting. It's 1924 copyright. Good morning to you is the first stanza of the song. Good morning to you, good morning to you, good morning dear children, good morning to you. The second verse is happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday dear children, happy birthday to you. The third stanza is a welcome to you, a welcome to you. A welcome, dear children, a welcome to you. And the last one is, 'tis love brings us here, 'tis love brings us here. 'Tis love brings us here, dear children, 'tis love brings us here. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
This is a little poem that was written by Kristen Abel, age 9. It's Share Love Like a Dove. I just thought this was interesting for a 9-year-old to write. Share love like a dove, fly on, violence gone. Share a piece of your peace. Go out and teach peace, be peace. A good place to start is in your heart. Let the waves of emotion be like the ocean, flowing in, flowing out, with no doubt. Shout it out, teach peace. Share love like a dove, fly on, violence gone. Share a piece of your peace, go out and teach peace, be peace. And then last but not least, this is something that it's just a reflection on Tenney Chapel. Because I love that little chapel. Just love it. Tenney Chapel is small, but it's a wondrous attraction to me. Captivating in its simple beauty, its age-old reverence, its genteel loveliness. This quintessential, charming, and exquisite country church shines brightly as a star. Its stained glass stories, St. Francis in the courtyard. What stories the chapel could tell. Truly amazing. Gazing on this marvel could be likened to the iridescent pleasure of seeing a refracting prism or a rainbow. Oh joy! That's all I've got.
Doc, I think it's your,
Well, I was out running chickens all day, so I'm a little tired. Oh, I just dreamed that.
Why do you have to run chickens?
Well, I was having a funny dream, I guess. I don't know, but I was sure chased them. My legs are sore. This book is called Contemporary Poetry.
Wow. How,
1923.
so it was contemporary in 23.
Wow, that's a year before mine.
It's kind of
Some
old
way.
now.
Nearly as old as you, right? Hey, you were saying you was old a while ago. I didn't say it.
No, I said I was old.
You saying what? This is James Oppenheim. Okay? The slave. They set the slave free, striking off his chains. Then he was as much of a slave as ever. He was still chained to severity. He was still manacled to indolence and sloth. He was still bound by fear and superstition, by ignorance, suspicion, and savagery. His slavery was not in the change, but in himself. They can only set free men free, and there is no need of that. Free men set themselves free. I believe it's Alan Seeger wrote one about I have a rendezvous with death. We've lost a lot of friends and family and all that just the last month or so. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade. When spring comes back with rustling shade and ample blossoms fill the air, I have a rendezvous with death. When spring brings back blue days and fair, it may be he shall take my hand and lead me into his dark land, and close my eyes and quench my breath. It may he I shall cast him still. I have a rendezvous with death on some scarred slope of battered hill. When spring mums around again this year, and the first meadow flowers appear, God knows I were better to be deep, pillowed in silk and scented down, where love throbbed out in blissful sleep, pulse nigh to pulse and bristled to breath, where hushed awakenings are dear. But I have a rendezvous with death at midnight in some flaming town, when spring triped north again this year, and I pledged word and true, I shall not fail that rendezvous. Alan Seeger. One last. Where'd number 3 go? Lost the page. Oh, bear with me. Some chickens.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I thought I had chicken feathers stuck in here, but I didn't. 1, 2. I know I had 3. I guess I don't. Must have fell on the way here. Oh, no, that's number 2. Okay. I'll adjourn with 2 poems. Thank you.
Are we recording here?
Yep.
We're blinking. Blinking, blinking, blinking. Move over here to get
So
centered.
that's what I need to read.
I'm gonna get centered here so that you don't look lopsided. We don't want you looking.
Thank you for that Tenny Chapel poem, Cecile. We will see that it makes the rounds. If you have a
You can have
copy
this.
of that, I'll appreciate.
In case you can't understand what I said.
No, I think I did, but I wasn't taking notes. Some of you know that, or remember that I have read quite a bit of poetry of my late daughter, who died in 2012. She wrote quite a bit of poetry and had several books printed before she died. And by the way, if you're interested in looking at some of it, on lulu.com, L-U-L-U, lulu.com, you can, I think there's 4 of her books still listed as available on that website. She wrote under the name of J.M. Vasquez, J.M. V-A-S-Q-U-E-S. She had other pen names, but that's the one that's on the Lulu website. However, I did a little, I've got a lot of her stuff, you know, that I collected over the years. And when she was a senior in high school, which was 1978, at Plano Senior High School, May 1978, the school published this magazine called Satori, S-A-T-O-R-I, and she had 3 pieces in here. I'm going to read 2 of them. One of them is a short story. 2 of them are poems. I'm going to read the 2 poems. They're short. One of them is called Twinkle Twinkle. This was when she was still known as Tara Boyd, T-A-R-A, Boyd, B-O-Y-D. Twinkle Twinkle. I crouch in my cave alone with my thirst. I'm tired. I'm dry. I peer down at the vastness below me and fail to be impressed. I curl up with my alter ego and chat for a while on the future of nothing and the patience of time. I perceive others yet. I'm blind to all but the sunshiny stars that twinkle like me. I hear others come, see others go, forget them before I learn. Then I curl up with my librium and turn on to my internal and sleep as they say goodbye. They brought me my liquid, so I crouch thirstless, undry, untired. Yet still I feel my glow. But somehow I'm falling. I know I must be a shooting star. Twinkle, twinkle. And the other one is called Epitaph. There's a little illustration on this one here. I don't know. There's no credit for it. Here's the illustration. I don't claim to know what it means, but it looks kind of epitaph-ish. My, don't they all adore you? They hover over you like California prospectors, pawing over your glitter glow, panning for your approval. Sweet smile and encourage them, but not too often. Everybody gets some, nobody gets much. Anyone can look, but rarely can they touch. If love is contagious, you're just a carrier. You show them the gateway, then put up the barrier. Encased in sweetness and dainty demure, perfumed yet somehow reeking impure, too good for measure, golden lashed eyes, shadowing treasure, mellowing things, they'd walk a mile for your pity, and lo, transformed, transmuted, transported to the heights of ecstasy, then free fall through broken, bursting bubble, crashing through glass houses and air castles. You smile in sweetness and dainty demure, leering in boredom, and sleazy impure. Leave their empty bodies to rot, dance at their wake. My, don't they all applaud you? That concludes my paraboloid poetry. And we will conclude, as per tradition, with a paragraph from How to Read a Poem, subtitled And Fall in Love with Poetry by Edward Hirsch. New paragraph. Neruda is also thinking in similes here, that is, by comparing one thing with another. Death arrives amidst the loud racket like a shoe without a foot in it, like a suit without a man in it. All good similes depend upon a certain essential heterogeneity between the elements that are being composed. Quintilian, quote, the more remote the simile is from the subject to which it is applied, the greater will be the impression of novelty and the unexpected when it produces. The simile asserts a likeness between unlike things. It maintains their comparability, but it also draws attention to their differences, thereby affirming a state of division. It is left to the reader to decide how death exists inside the bones of corpses. Quote, like a barking dog where there are no dogs, end quote. The participatory dimension works brilliantly for the poet who is creating within us a sense of death's active and omnivorous power, its alien and alienating majesty. There is also a digressive impulse to similes that keeps extending the poem outward to take on new things, and Neruda builds on this tendency in order to suggest the power of death actively going through the world and sweeping things up, taking them away.
Is he referring to a poem?
Pardon me?
Is he referring to a poem?
Yeah,
when he
he's
says Neruda?
referring to this Neruda was the author. We only read one paragraph at a time, so if you don't hear, if you're not here every time,
Haven't been here
you
the last
don't know what's going
8
on.
months, you don't know what the poem was.
Most of us, by the time we come, so I guess we've forgotten what the name of the poem. But anyway, that is our conclusion, and I'll add this in a way of an announcement. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, February 17th, at 6:30 until 8 p.m., there will be a concert, free concert at Tenny Chapel. Cecile has the bulletin already.
No, this is the old one.
Oh, that's the, I think
I'm using it for our fans.
well, that's the color of this week's
Yes.
bulletin as well.
Oh, wow.
And
They usually all look like.
we have among the participants Eugene Allen and Delene Allen, who composed the Wood County Line Bluegrass Band. She plays upright bass, guitar, the huge bass fiddle actually, and Eugene plays 5-string banjo, mandolin, and fiddle. Not all simultaneously, but plays them all three. And there'll be a new to our stage, a performer named Brent Smallwood, who's coming in from Missouri just for this event. He's a friend of the Allens, and they perform together sometimes, and he's going to be on our stage. And we have also a new performer who's never been on a Tenny Chapel stage, named Toy. And I just got, this was, one of our performers got the flu and had to cancel.
Uh-oh.
And just yesterday we got him replaced with, his first name is Toy. It's like Joey, except it starts with a T, T-O-E-Y. And the last name is escaping me at the moment. I think it's something like Brunson or similar to that, maybe not that exactly. but he's not performed before. But he's known to the Allens as a very good performer. Doc Davis and his compadre Chris Martinson will be there. I don't know if Cecille will be performing or not, but then we're going to have the close. Usually our programs are closed by George Jordan, the original tenor chapel troubadour. He's recovering from knee surgery and is going to be unable to get up on the stage and perform. So we have asked Larry Gamble and Roger Tune, a duo. Larry plays tenor guitar. Roger plays a regular 6-string acoustic guitar, and they perform all kinds of unusual songs.
Yes.
And they're going to be closing for us tomorrow night. And they're going to, after their 3-song set, they're going to invite all the musicians to come up on stage, all those who have performed, and then the congregation or the audience will stand, and Roger and Larry will lead us in Amazing Grace. And Larry will play, are you all familiar with something? It looks like a flute, but it's actually called a recorder. You're all familiar with that instrument?
Yeah.
And Larry will be playing a recorder, playing the music, the melody to. We usually play. It's usually when George does it. It's "Will the Circle Be Unbroken," but they're going to do "Amazing Grace," and I've heard him do this at the Quitman Bluegrass Festival before, and he's really good with this flute. Or I still call it a flute. It's
Well,
actually
it's a recorder. I used to play the recorder.
Did you?
It was one of the instruments I never mastered, like all the other instruments that I played, I never mastered. I'm an expert at not mastering instruments.
You're good on the guitar, brother.
Well, I've been playing a long time, so I remain.
Y'all
to be
come.
seen.
Woohoo!
I know Doc and
I'll be there.
Cecile and Mike come often. I hope you're there tomorrow night, and Liz and Conrad.
I only missed it last time because I was sick.
Yeah. I asked Cecile at the Bluegrass Festival Friday night, from a week ago tonight, and I walked in and she was there, and the pastor had asked me to email her and invite, because she hadn't been to see us in a month or so, and she said, "I've been down with the flu for a month."
Off and on.
So
yeah.
sorry. I hope you've recovered well.
Anyway, here's your instrument back. Thank you.
Thank you.